Welcome to the Progressive Patriots Podcast, the show where military veterans come together to speak on the issues. We strive to unite the nation under a common banner of forward progress for all people of any color and creed, even those with whom we don't see eye to eye. Remember that the panelists are speaking on their own perspectives and do not represent any candidates, elected officials, or organizations unless explicitly stated. With all that out of the way, let's get right into it. Thank you for listening. Ugh, gotta summon my radio energy. All right. Welcome back, dearest listeners, to the Progressive Patriots. We haven't been canceled yet. So I'm starting to think that this cancel culture shit is a lie. But what do I know? I'm joined today by Bryson once again, and a new addition. There's a scent of Moises in the room.
Well, hey, what's up?
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Moises Montalvo. I'm a United States Army veteran. I was a human intelligence collector and an Arabic linguist, and I work for Common Defense.
Very cool.
And I do organizing full time. So yeah.
And for disclaimer, like, you're not here in an official capacity or anything like that. You're just here shooting the shit with us.
I am just here chilling with my friends.
Yep. Okay, so let's get into it. It is currently just after 1900 on October 5th. Just like the NPR podcasts do, and I want to set this up for ourselves, is things might be different by the time you hear this. Actually, on that note, I was updating the outline from when we recorded last week, and I had it updated, and I thought things were ready to go, and within like an hour, Kevin McCarthy was out of office. It's completely ridiculous. That shit came with a quickness. Not necessarily surprising, but we'll get to that in a second. So, I want to start really quick with one healthcare topic. So Medicare the pharmaceutical companies were trying to fight Medicare in court, blocking their ability to negotiate drug prices, right? And Judge Michael Newman refuses the appeal, and his the way that I summarized it was, if you don't like it, then don't supply Medicare. Okay, bitch, bye. Because it's pretty much how he laid it out for them. Is like, nobody's making you supply Medicare. So if you don't like the negotiations, leave. We'll find someone else. So the free market, it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Maybe they don't like it so much when it works against them.
Probably not.
Man, I think it's good, though. I like something that I like that's happening with this is that when insulin got capped, that a lot of the pharmaceutical companies capped it across the board. They didn't make it only for Medicare. Just insulin's $35. Bittersweet, I guess, because like you could have done this the whole fucking time, but you didn't.
Blows my mind.
The whole idea. Okay, so this is gonna sound off topic, but it's not off topic. Okay, one of my pet peeves in life in general is pharmaceutical ads, because
they're fucking crazy.
Like I watch TV and I'm watching sports, and I'm a big sports guy. I watch a lot of boxing and basketball, and I'm watching sports with my kids, and there's some pharmaceutical ad, and we're the only fucking country where that's a thing.
Really?
The only fucking country that's a thing. These negotiations that we're going through, we're the only country that's a fucking thing.
Yep.
Like we have set ourselves apart with this asinine system that is absolutely benefiting no one, but then sit around. Oh yeah, but but we sit around and pat ourselves on the back when we negotiate a lower drug cost for something that should be free.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, free at the point of service because the favorite. Oh, well, your taxes are higher. No, no kidding.
Yep.
I'd rather pay taxes and not die
Yeah,
if I
same.
have to.
Same.
I would
Same.
rather pay
Hey.
taxes and for my neighbor to not die. I don't even know my
Yep.
neighbor's names. I don't care.
Same. Hey, shout out to the VA, right?
No kidding. I know that I'm really fortunate in that regard that I'm covered by that. Kind of a side note on the advertisements thing is similarly, I watch a lot of boxing. A lot of some very good friends of mine are in the UK and Australia. So sometimes we are watching it together. Of course, we all paid for it, but we're all watching.
course.
We're watching the fights together, and then if it's on like ESPN or something, and an ad comes on for some kind of medicine, they start saying like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Why do you do this to yourselves?
Yep.
I really can't tell you. And like watching their commercials, it's like I don't know. It's like being like Bizarro World or something. It's Uncanny Valley kind of. It's really similar, but not quite. It's kind of weird.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do a little bit of sim racing, and some of the guys I race with are, either Aussies or Kiwis. It seems to be a lot of racing in that side of the world. But I have a similar experience. I mean, these guys just are absolutely baffled.
Yep.
I mean, it's a joke to them. They thought it was a meme. They thought it was a joke. They see stuff on my feed and they're like, dude, that's for real?
Yeah.
Like, no, that's for real.
Yeah. Side effects may include death.
Oh
No,
God.
so weird. Let's move on though. I got two things. Both of them are from California. Both of them involve Governor Newsom. So, first thing is that he raised the minimum wage specifically for fast food workers. The California state minimum wage is $15.50, which is higher than any other state in the U.S., mind you. But specifically for fast food workers, it's up to $20 for them. They established a thing called the Fast Food Council, which has a requirement that employees must be on the board, in addition to, franchise owners and managers and stuff, so that working conditions and like periodic raises can be discussed, from both sides of the spectrum. So that's pretty cool. I think that's a good move from Newsom there. But
Yeah.
on the other side of it, there was a bill that passed through the California legislature that would allow for striking workers to get unemployment protections or benefits, and he vetoed that. Some interesting notes that I saw in that was the unemployment benefits, like the program in California, is about $20 billion in debt. So he cited that as his reason for the veto. And the only states that offer unemployment benefits for striking workers are New York and New Jersey. So that's what's going on with. There's a little bit more later on Newsom, but for now, this is his work inside of California at the moment. It's kind of weird. It's like a give and take.
Yeah. My first question, why just fast food workers?
I think when he was being briefed on it, he was learning that a lot of full-time fast food employees are like primary providers for their households. So it's like,
Okay.
single moms, uneducated, like no good work skills or whatever, or profitable work skills, valuable. I don't know what word we want to use there, but so he wants to help them have a better shake. And even still, like in LA or San Diego or something, that's $20 is still not a lot.
Yeah. The one good thing that can come from that is other industries, they can look at that and be like, hey, they're making $20. Why am I not making $20?
Yeah.
They might start like, can I start demanding things? Can I start advocating for myself at work, So that's good.
See, but this is where we're splitting hairs, man. Like, why
Why one and
Why
not
is-
everyone else?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why is okay? So McDonald's, Burger King, all these corporations that can already afford to pay these employees that much anyway. I really don't get it. Like, what's the incentive? Like, what's the incentive? Like, do you have somebody who's working at a menial, shitty job that's just as equally as horrible as working in fast food, and they also are a single mom?
Like
You
a
know what I
hotel
mean?
maid or something.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the hospitality industry. Like, you've got people who do that. Not only that, fast food workers. Okay, let's talk about servers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about tipped employees.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay,
man, tip salary is
like,
so stupid.
oh yeah, but we don't want to discuss tip salaries that are like
$2.
verifiably based in racist history. Like,
Yeah.
we can prove that like right now.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to have that discussion. They want to pitch the McDonald's worker against the factory worker for $15 an hour or $20 an hour, when there's other people getting screwed for far less. And the other thing about that makes me like almost cry on the inside a little bit is how many tipped workers argue for tips because they feel that, oh, but I get to take home more cash at the end of the week, and they don't understand the economic the difference.
It's immediate need. I
Yeah,
need the money
exactly.
right now. I can't afford to, wait till the end of the week or something. I don't know. That's my thinking on it. Man, I was looking at this half full. Now you lowered the level of my cup here.
Could it be this is just like he's throwing a bone to the left
I
for
think it's
like
a
future
yeah.
presidential run? I think that's
Oh
what
well,
it is.
spoiler. That's what we were going to talk
Ooh.
about with him
Oh
later.
no. Oh
No, fuck it. Let's get into it because we're talking about Gavin Newsom pretty much. So he specifically came out with I wrote it down as endorsement, but it's everything. It's an endorsement in everything but term. So he's endorsing Biden for 2024. He made it very clear, I am not getting into this. So, but the expectation is 2028 is going to be a Newsom run. And so he's going to be facing off with Kamala Harris, two governors, Michigan's Gretchen Whitmer and Pennsylvania's Josh Shapiro. So those are the hopefuls for 4. Those are some fucking titans right there.
4 years ahead of time.
Yeah, he's setting the stage now.
Yeah, it's kind of how it works, right? You gotta plan ahead.
I don't know, man. Would it be wrong of me to say just primary Biden? Like, I'd love to see just a primary field. Like, that's me.
Actually, speaking of primary fields, Representative Dean Phillips of Minnesota has stepped out of his leadership roles on committees in the House, and he is preparing a presidential bid. So, Dean Phillips, champion of the people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And on also the Robert Kennedy is his support PAC is they've done they're doing the research, they're doing the market research, and they're trying to make the case that Robert Kennedy as an independent is going to pull more votes from Trump than he would from Biden. That's from Zogby Strategies.
Bryson, what do you think, dude? I got a weird vibe from him when we were at the Iowa State Fair. Robert Kennedy gave me a really funky vibe.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I don't know what it is about him.
He strikes me as very strange.
His people
Yeah.
were super into him, though. The people we talked
Yeah.
to, they were really into him. And they brought up points that I think a lot of people on the left can get behind. And I think that's part of the weird thing. Like, he seems entangled in both parties.
Yeah, he
And
has
thinking
broader appeal, or he can play both colors there.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the easiest answer is I don't like him. I think he's, just like the rest of them. He's just playing the game, the power game. But I think he's definitely not helpful when it comes to the conspiracy theory stuff. He said a lot of weird things. Let's see if I can pull up what he was saying.
I know he said a lot about vaccines very strongly anti-vax. I know that much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was one of the big things at the rally. He was like,
Yeah, I was gonna say, what else did he say at the rally? Because I remember him saying something that we both looked at each other like, what the fuck did he just say?
His guy passing out pamphlets was saying, oh, he just wants them to be tested like we test fish for mercury, like we don't already go through like insane amounts of testing for vaccines. I don't know. That whole realm is just. I understand it's difficult knowing that the pharmaceutical industry isn't really there to help people. Their main goal is to make money. So it's easy for conspiracy theories to thrive in that setting. But at the end of the day, the scientists, the people that have studied and worked their whole lives to figure these things out, I'm going to believe them. And I think they would say something if something crazy was going on.
All right. So do you think he's mostly just running on the fact that he's a Kennedy?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because that's what I
very much.
That's the vibe I got. Is like
his website says, "I'm a Kennedy Democrat."
Yeah,
those were the signs that they were handing out. Remember?
Yeah. He's doing it for the campaign money. He's getting donations, and I'm sure not all of it is going to get used. What's he going to do with it afterwards?
Just roll it over into a pack.
Yeah.
Roll it over into a pack, and then
Maybe he's going to buy more weights. More weights and less t-shirts. Maybe do some more bench pressing on camera. Yeah, the guy strikes me as odd. His mannerisms, like everything about him is kind of weird. Cat.
He's always talking like he's lost his voice too. I don't know if that's a thing.
He has a degenerative issue with his vocal cords.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad.
No. But I did notice that even some of the folks who were more conservative in the crowd were playing to his answers. You know what I mean? They were clapping along and cheering along to his canned spam that he was, dishing out, and they loved it. So, I mean, do I think that he could take some of the votes away from Trump, like they're saying? I mean,
moderates.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. Only time will tell.
Yeah. Let's see here. Got some more. So much. It's absurd. Okay, so we did a bit of labor rights, did a bit of campaign stuff. One thing. Oh, this is two things. I'm sorry. From last week, is I got to correct the record. It's immigrants and military service. The path to citizenship is not a guarantee, like I thought it was. At least that's how it was framed when it was explained to me. Is that that's probably like recruiter bullshit. So
yeah, I've always heard of it as like, if you join, you're guaranteed.
Yeah, service guarantees citizenship. Would you like to know more? Okay, so there's that, and another thing that I mentioned at the end that we didn't get into was. It was on climate change. Specifically, there are 6 senators. You want to guess if they're Democrats or Republicans? You want to guess?
Is this a bad thing
regarding climate change in a positive way. So Sanders, okay, so technically not Democrat, but still. Warren, Markey, also the junior from Massachusetts, Heinrich from New Mexico, Whitehouse from Rhode Island, and Merkley from Oregon. They issued a joint resolution to the Treasury to give stronger guidance to financial institutions to address climate change risks. The Treasury, in their response, did not address any specific concerns, but under Secretary Yellen's leadership, the Department of the Treasury has climate change has always been at the forefront for the Secretary. And I think the joint resolution was more stronger guidance on how does, like home loans, insurance, how do those things work in like Florida, for example. It's like a consumer protection kind of thing.
So like protecting consumers who lose property or something like that in Florida.
Or quote unquote uninsurable.
If it's helping normal working class people, that's great. But if that money's just bailing out, the mega developments, then I don't know.
But it
I hate to be the pessimist, but like, does it matter if fucking Miami's underwater 5 years from now? Like,
I mean, definitely.
one thing is that it's not just for coastal regions. Like for me, I'm in Arizona. Obviously, it gets hot as shit here. So one thing that we have that's a concern here is damage from heat and from the sun. So if
yeah.
those things get worse, what happens to my home? What do I do? What do we like? What's the what do insurance policies do about those kinds of things? So that's what the resolution is about.
Okay, makes sense.
yeah, it makes sense. I just I hope that they're taking the average American into consideration, which we know they aren't. But
I mean, those people though.
Yeah, Sanders and
Cruz,
Warren.
yeah,
they
it
care
is a
more
good
than
group of
most.
people. Yeah, this is true.
So I'm
For me, I'm hopeful, and I hope that it actually helps folks, and there's some kind of retroactive application to it, because I know there's tons of people hurting right now
yeah,
from those issues.
from hurricanes.
Yeah, hurricanes are. I mean, even then, just like you were saying, I know folks in Arizona who have had their AC unit melt
Yeah.
down, and all of a sudden had to shell out a bunch of money to do that they weren't expecting.
The shit
I mean,
ain't cheap.
No, it ain't.
Ah.
Did it do anything? Did they have anything else in the resolution?
Yes. They called for the IRS to check the political activity from nonprofit organizations that check their what they're doing. Are they if they're politically active, then they're not a nonprofit anymore. Is one thing, and another was the special interests that are funding climate change denial.
Oh man, that's definitely
That's
exactly
a big
what
one.
we need.
Yeah, that's a very big one.
Yes. So
Ugh.
did 80,000 was it 80,000 IRS agents over the next 10 years?
I think that was the number. I think that sounds about
Somewhere in
right.
that neighborhood, 70 to 80, somewhere around there. But yeah, that's what they want the IRS to start doing. I think that's a good thing. Always a good thing.
Man. Speaking of climate change denial, can I shout out one of my local senators? Senator Mike Thompson. Because of him, I got an A on one of my papers at school. Because I had to talk about how local politics was being influenced by like climate change propaganda and like different things. I'm like, oh, how am I going to do that? Dude, did some Googling. Turns out old Mike is spreading climate misinformation on Facebook, and he's a meteorologist.
That veers out of
that's sad.
That's disinformation. He knows better.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
doing
yeah.
that shit
Oh, yeah,
on purpose.
definitely. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
100% disinformation. So
That's really douchey. All right.
Yeah.
Another climate change thing. There was a considerable amount of rainfall over the last weekend in New York. It was such that a sea lion was able to swim out of I think it's the Brooklyn or Bronx Zoo, something like that.
The Bronx Zoo.
Yeah, it's the Bronx Zoo. A female sea lion, swam out, and she was playing around. And
I mean, that's kind of that's a good thing
it's,
in a way.
New York
Free the sea lions.
isn't equipped for like that much rain at one time.
I
don't
just
think-
mean the escaping
Oh,
animal.
Yeah,
like,
the sea lion.
regaining its freedom. Yeah, that's what I mean.
What's interesting to me is the fact that so if you watched specifically CNN, MSNBC, if you watched, mainstream media, you got the sense that holy shit, New York is underwater.
Oh yeah.
There's water everywhere, right? But you talk to folks on the ground there, and it was really only in localized areas that were having flooding issues. Do they need to get a handle on it? Oh, absolutely. Because if they think it's bad now, they got another thing coming.
Oh yeah. It's gonna get way worse.
The governor said that this should be the new normal that New Yorkers should expect. Like the people in the city expect this more and more. And yeah, I think it's probably a city planning thing. get more, I don't know, equip yourselves to handle a lot of water all at once.
Equip themselves. What are they going to do? Put flotation devices on the subway?
Ditches in the sewer, or like, I'm trying to think. Like Tokyo has storm drains everywhere, and the way that the streets are shaped, it sort of they're convex, so that the water runs to the sides and goes directly into the storm drains. For one thing.
Interesting.
I feel like there's a business opportunity in the next decade. You know how they have like the e-scooters and bikes that you can rent out? They're just gonna have to set up scuba rentals.
Canoes.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Gondolas on Broadway.
I think I saw that Venice is too far underwater, that it's not habitable anymore.
Oh, I did see that the water was getting so nasty that
Yeah.
most people didn't even want to do the little gondola rides and stuff anymore, because it was
Is
just
It's getting mixed with the sewage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same thing happened in the UK, right? Aren't basically they let companies just dump whatever they want in the rivers? And obviously they do it here too, but it's crazy.
Yeah. the
I think a
Thames
lot
is
of it
gross.
is, yeah, I think a lot of it is that there was a time period where they were unrestricted, just dumping whatever the fuck they wanted to into the river. And I think now they're basically just facing that uphill challenge of how the hell do we fix this
Yeah.
when we've let it go for hundreds of years. I mean, I live in western Nebraska, and I mean, there's stories here of, you know, them dumping all kinds of stuff into the Platte River in the 40s and 50s. So yeah, I mean, it's probably a more widespread issue than we think about.
Okay. Let's keep rolling. Okay, we did climate change. One thing on immigration that came out today. So they're breaking ground on more sections of the border wall. And naturally, because it's under a Biden administration, everyone's assuming that it's his doing or his choices. And but that's not the case. The announcement came out yesterday. In January, when Biden took office, his vow was that no more American taxpayer dollars will be diverted to construct a border wall. And the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, he said, "No, there's no new administration policy with respect to border walls. From day one, this administration has made clear that a border wall is not the answer." So they clarified that the funds were appropriated during the Trump administration, and they are legally bound to use them for that purpose. And that we have repeatedly asked Congress to rescind this money, but it has not done so, and we are compelled to follow the law. And Trump is like trying to claim this as a victory. Like, yeah, see, I told you, walls work. Sleepy Joe's doing it.
I think that's pretty cut and dry.
It is.
So how much does this say about our political process that Trump can get away with lying about shit like this and nobody...
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to bring up.
Yeah, because nobody knows any better.
All they're going to see is
any better.
Biden administration breaks ground on new sections of border wall.
It comes down to my favorite thing in the world, media literacy. You can't just trust everything you see. You can't trust... I will get to, I'll get crazy the more I talk about this, but we really need more pushes on educating the public on how to interact with media. And obviously there's a reason why that wasn't taught from young ages, but we'll see how far we can get.
I am 100% with you, man. Look, there have always been this like, oh, we got to teach kids home ec, and we got to teach kids this, and we got to all right, teach kids how to fucking vote.
Yep.
Teach kids about and more than the just BS like government class, American government
Civics.
class, and everybody civics or whatever. I mean, an actual like, this is how politics works. This is how our government works. Because the 90% of our problems in the United States could be solved with just people knowing how the hell the government works.
Yeah, how it
That's
works.
And participatory.
Yeah.
Like, people don't participate because it's this mysterious thing.
Or they only show
They don't
up
get it.
once every 4 years.
Yeah.
Again, because it's a mysterious
Yeah.
thing that they don't understand.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, if everyone understood how everything worked, how power worked, how authority worked, how our government worked,
And
it wouldn't
this
work that way.
bureaucracy,
Because we'd all,
a little bit of
Oh,
this
yeah.
bureaucracy of how the funds were set, they were earmarked, years ago. I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago, and they're just now getting to the point where they're going to be used. But I mean, I want to read the headline, get mad, and then go shit on Biden on Reddit. I thought that's what we're supposed to do. Isn't that what civics class is about? Go to our politics and talk shit about Trump or something?
It might be here in Nebraska.
How familiar are you guys with the history of the Great Wall of China? Didn't invaders just like go over it? Didn't they just find a different way? Like,
The Mongols did get through.
Well-
The Mongolians, excuse me, did end up getting through it.
And
Yeah,
it was
I-
also like, it was built over 1,000 years. I mean, it was,
took a
it
long
wasn't
time.
just, it took a long
like-
time.
the border wall is like a group of 5-year-olds being like, "Hey, how are we gonna fix this thing? Let's just build a wall. Like, then they can't get over here, right? Like, that's how it works." But in reality, that's not. It's a much more complicated situation. And obviously, I'm on the side of. I understand why there is this immigration, and I understand.
Yeah.
The deeper things that most mainstream media doesn't.
We talked about
Talk
that
about.
last week. Was
Yeah, we
the
did,
root
yeah.
the root causes of this shit is
Yeah.
most certainly not just to come take somebody's job, or I don't know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and none of that type of. Or it's really, I had this argument with somebody in like 2013 or 14, don't recall, but the guy was talking about, they're criminals by definition, and he kept emphasizing that. And okay, well, let me try laying it out to you this way. I'm going to go into your neighborhood and I'm going to start cutting people's heads off. This is not figurative. I'm literally going to cut people's head off. Are you going to stick around? You're just going to sit there and wait? And let me expand on that. The police are not coming because I gave them a lot of money. They're not going to come help you. No one's going to help you. You're just going to sit there and wait? Hopefully I get too tired and don't cut your head off? It's ridiculous.
Man, that's honestly an interesting way to think about it.
It's not happening to me. So,
Yeah. What do you
A
mean
lot of this-
world hunger? I ate breakfast this morning. What do you mean there's world hunger?
Yeah, a lot of this really just comes from privilege, right?
Yes.
People don't understand how good we really have it here.
This was a wealthy man that lived in Malibu, and he worked
Oh.
for Microsoft as a senior engineer. Naturally, he had a lot of money. Right. So on the thing with the wall, this, like I said, people are going to read the headline and try to go dunk on, their political opponents on social media, and nobody's going to read the fucking article where
Nope.
the Secretary of Homeland Security specifically says this is not our doing. We have to follow these rules. Just the way that Trump fucked up the negotiations to withdraw from Afghanistan, and we followed through with his plan. This is what we're doing. Sorry that he sucked, and we're just following the rules.
Wait, so are they going to talk about this on like Fox News? They're going to be like, wait a minute, I'm starting to like this Biden guy a little bit.
It won't be like they like him. It'll be like this, he finally learned. He learned what's the right way to do things.
Yeah.
His stupid open border policy wasn't succeeding. But actually, I'm gonna make the most awesome segue ever. Watch. So Moises, you mentioned that there needs to be a way that people need to be taught, educated, informed on how politics, government works. There is actually an iconic musician who, pretty close to his death, mentioned something about that children need to be taught how political doublespeak and the way that a politician lies to your face but you think that he's on your side. And that was Tupac Shakur. So there was a development in his case. Dwayne Davis, known as Keefe D, he was, quote, long suspected by police, end quote, in killing Tupac. But Keefe D has been he's been going like onto media, radio shows, podcasts and stuff, talking about the killing while giving details that only someone who did it or was there would know. And that's how he got caught, finally.
He snitched on himself, basically.
He did. He gave himself up.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. I'm going to date myself a little bit. I never thought this one was going to get any kind of traction. I never thought anything was going to come out of the Tupac thing.
Or the Biggie one.
Or the Biggie one. Like, having grown up, on the East Coast in the 90s.
Yeah.
That's one that you never thought anything was going to come to light on. And then all of a sudden, randomly in October 2023, here we go.
Keefe D.
They got Tupac's Keefe D. And what's crazy to me is it's not even like we're not saying he's the one who pulled the trigger. And
I think that's in the truck of the people
he was
who
just
did.
in the truck. Mm-hmm.
But he did have the gun that was used was his, or he supplied it. Whether or not he pulled the trigger is immaterial at this point.
Yeah.
Dang.
It was oof.
I knew, like the high level details. Like it was a retaliation. Tupac and Suge Knight, they were at the Mike Tyson fight. Suge Knight he either is a Blood or he is associated with the Bloods. And by extension, Tupac is too. And they beat up Keefe D's nephew, and they are Crips. So it was a gang violence in a way.
Especially in that time period, man.
Yeah, the East Coast West Coast thing was rough.
It was rough there for a few years, man. People were dropping like flies.
Junior Mafia. Going to war with Tupac's guys.
Yeah,
that was
pretty
wild.
much. But I grew up on the East Coast, and then I grew up in Miami for high school. I went down there for high school. People think that like this gang violence is. People who live out here where I live now, people think that gang violence and stuff like that is just like, oh, it's what they talk about in rap songs, or it's like this otherworldly
that shit's
thing.
Real.
No, that shit's real.
Very, very real.
That shit's real. Oh yeah.
The neighborhood I grew up in, I think I believe. You got to cut that thing out at the root. Like policing and like that type of shit's not gonna fix this stuff. These people need ways out.
Helping communities, maybe like putting money into kind of thing.
Funding schools for specifically where they're underperforming. There is more gun violence, unfortunately, that I wanted to bring up in New Mexico. This 23-year-old garbage. He shoots a man, Jacob Johns. He's a Native American from the Seattle Tacoma area. He's an activist that goes with. He was there in Española, New Mexico, for a protest where they were going to erect a statue of Juan de Onate, the colonial governor from Spain, and he was quite brutal. And that was in circa 1600. And Jacob Johns was there, and this dumb kid shot him. He was in critical condition. I read today that he's stable, so that's good.
Oh, good to hear that, man. Because wasn't he supposed to speak at the UN?
He was a UN ambassador, like one of those specialty ambassadors.
Yeah. I
just
saw the headline I saw was that he was going to be speaking, because I know of Jacob Johns prior to this, specifically because of his climate work and his indigenous climate work.
That's what it is indigenous climate activism. That's what he was going to go to the UN for.
Yeah. So I'm glad to hear that he's doing, he's in stable condition. A 23-year-old kid who probably can't even fucking pronounce, the name of the guy whose statue he was riled up about them,
Yep.
having the gall to protest. Man, how many 23-year-old douchebags are rolling around the country with firearms now?
Yeah.
Like, let's have that conversation.
And a chip on their shoulder about it.
Yeah, exactly. The need to prove themselves. Bryson, you're younger than me. Like, I think we've had this conversation in the car about how, like, I feel like there's this disconnect. Like, there's the younger generations, especially on the quote unquote toxic masculinity side. It's either they're all in or they're out. Like, there's no in between anymore. These kids are, there's a lot more toxicity.
You can't be half in on a red hat.
Oh God.
Which is what he was
guess.
wearing in his fucking, like, the picture that they showed of him. He had a MAGA hat on.
I watched the video. It was
yeah,
unfortunate. Yeah. Very unfortunate.
That's a tough subject to talk about with the amount of time we have, masculinity. And obviously I think it's used by some people. I shouldn't say used. It looks like it's manipulated in a way by certain people to use for gain certain. I feel like I'm talking nonsense.
No, Andrew Tate and his Hustlers University. That's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, if it's monetary gain, that whole like alt-right pipeline, right?
Yeah.
The Joe Rogans, the Jordan Petersons, Steven Crowder.
Peterson.
Yeah, and they know they're making money off of it.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
But I think when it really comes down to it, that toxic masculinity, I think, comes from insecurity.
Yep. 100%.
They're not okay with something about themselves. Like, oh, I need to be as muscly as I can because that's how I'm going to protect myself. Like, okay, protect yourself from what? Right?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, these guys are probably like crying themselves to sleep because of something that happened in their life, or like they're not getting what they want. It's just looks like a child having a tantrum.
They're being told that society is taking their identity from them, and this solution that I'm offering you of masculinity, that's, you need to retake it by force if necessary. Exactly. You have to take this back because no one's going to let you have it. They're going to make you into a little soy boy cuck beta male or whatever.
This is a sign of growing fascism too.
Yeah.
If you look, whoever's listening right now, Google Joseph Goebbels' first speech as propaganda minister of Nazi Germany. It was called German Women or something like that.
Yep.
And it talks about women are becoming too masculine, men are becoming too feminine, and that's the problem. Men need to be men and women need to be women. And you look at what's happening in Western society today. I wonder if they're just copying the old playbook. They're just like,
oh absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not reinventing that wheel. They're just hopping back on it, man. Like, hold on. I'm going to pull it up right now. I'm looking.
They're just calling it a Lambo wheel. I think that's what it is. Because Lambos and shit, that's what makes you a man, is having a lot of money and making women into prostitutes.
So there's a documentary that was recently added to Netflix.
Is it on Tate?
It is actually on Nazi Germany, but it is actually about weird Netflix documentary about Nazi Germany, because there aren't like a million of them on there. That's a whole nother that's a whole nother conversation. But it's called Ordinary Men. Ordinary Men: The Forgotten Holocaust, and it's actually about. It's a psychological like examination of like, how did they get all these ordinary Germans to carry out mass atrocities. And what you start realizing right away after watching this documentary for 5 or 6 minutes is that a lot of these guys weren't even party loyalists. they weren't hardcore anything. These guys were just literally ordinary citizens who found themselves in those situations. So when we see these parallels between, like what you were just talking about, this Nazi speech from some douchebag in the 40s suddenly becoming relevant again, dude, it's chilling. Yeah. It's chilling. Like, I have 2 teenage daughters, and it scares the shit out of me to think about what their generation might have to deal with when they're our age. Just absolutely terrifying.
Not if we have anything to say about it, right?
Absolutely, dude. That's the reason I sweat my ass off doing weird shit in the Iowa State Fair.
Exactly.
All right, that's going to be the end of this part of our second episode. We were in the zone. We were in the zone, and we went on for quite a while. So this is part 1. Part 2 is going to be following as quickly as soon as I can get it out to you. The overall points that I make at the end of every Lux Media show, if you could please, interact with our social media posts, subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platforms, and all the internet shit. I don't know. You don't need me to keep barking this shit at you. Thanks for listening. We had a lot of fun recording this. We're going to keep doing this. So if there's something that you want us to talk about or something you want to hear more about, please let me know. I would love nothing more than to get a topic from you and discuss that. And, or you could just comment on anything that I had to say. I'd, kind of go off the cuff a little bit, but whatever. I'm here for it. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Progressive Patriots Podcast. If you have any questions or comments on what was discussed, if you have a topic you'd like to hear about, or if there's a correction that you would like to offer for our CTR portion, you can call or text our anonymous, unattended phone line at 833-589-7637. That's 833-LUX-PODS. For more shows like the one you just listened to, go to lvxmedia.net.